Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is DB333, and welcome back to Heart of Iron 4, the New Order Last Days of Europe as the Front. Now, in the last video, we went ahead and peacefully unified with Tumen after kind of pushing them along a little bit, helping them get to the point where we could go ahead and integrate them. Now, this is a little broken right now, but I'm sure that'll disappear eventually. I wouldn't worry about it. So I'm gonna go ahead, if I can get my timer out. Not 5 minutes, we'll do another 40-minute long video. Oh, 40 plus however long this has already been going for, and how long your outro will take. And I guess it's time to go ahead and do the Russian reunification, because we did not press the button last time. And ooh, there we are, the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic. Let's go ahead, exert influence in Kazakhstan. And in theory, we could begin going after the other guys. I think I'll give him a little bit of time. We took a bit of time to unite, so I'll give him some time to catch up as well. So, look like it's time to dissolve the front. After years of bitter struggle, we have finally reunited our shattered motherland. The West Russian Revolutionary Front, our sword and shield against the Nazi menace and long decades of warlordism, can finally be dissolved. In this place we shall restore the Russian Socialist Federative Socialist Soviet Republic. We are the true heirs of the Soviet Union, the caretakers of a legacy of the October Revolution, the last light of truth, equality, and justice in a world drowned in darkness. Led by Grand Marshal Zhukov, we will triumph. I like it. Swap out all these shitty random templates. Put you in there. And then a little last minute stuff. I did a little bit of stuff with all the units off camera. Mainly while I was away. Took a bit of time off just because it's hot. There's nothing really else to do other than nap or feel miserable, or realistically do both as well. So, kind of did that for a bit, but I'm back at it now. I think we'll go ahead, get rid of these shit templates. And there we are. The Shah of Iran has been assassinated. Well, that's not nice. And then to wonders. It looks like Tomsk is about to collapse in on itself. It's a little unfortunate, but oh well. Really now? Really, America? That's how you want to play this. Well, it looks like we got some different things to mix up. Looks like there's some options we flat out cannot take because of our position. So, let's get the people's executive. The Soviet system of government was always intended to be a workers' democracy in which the people had the ultimate say, but the exigencies of our seemingly endless conflict with domestic enemies and foreign fascist armies made that dream impossible. Yet now workers' democracy slowly returned to our nation, and we must believe in the power of the Soviet people to choose their own future. The Supreme Soviet must be restored, and along with it, the Presidium. so that the highest levels of state are once more in the hands of the people. There we go. As the Grand Marshal sat down at his desk, he pondered his thoughts. The front had succeeded in their goal of reuniting the West. However, much more work was to be done before the reconquering of the East, and soon after was a strike against the Germans. Before that, much had to be done, however, and currently the one thing that was on Georgy Zhukov's mind was to make this an official statement. All the Grand Marshal needed to do was garner approval from his cabinet, and then officially change their name from the West Russian Revolutionary Front to the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic. Once he would finally do this, the time would be realized. The front had officially become a country once again instead of a simple rump state that had been teetering on the edge of death. However, the front was well and alive, focused on its next prey for the time being until the Constitution of Great Patriotic War. Until then, only time would tell what the Republic would do. Zhukov smiled as he finished writing his plans for his meeting with the Presidium leader, hoping they would accept his proposal. However, until then, he had much work to do. Due to the Republic encompassing the western half of Russia, they had to deal with many more problems, whether it's grain stocks rising, or the issue of funding for each military branch. Zhukov was confident that these issues would sort themselves out after a bit of nudging from the government or even himself. The military, while important, seemed like it could be quite the large issue for the Union. We could go ahead and preserve the revolutionary. I think I'll do that for the extra political power. A little bit extra off-social support, I believe, as well. Life does not forgive weakness. Adolf Hitler. To last forever. What a quaint super event. Wonder, we might get into more of the, oh, there goes Italy getting their nukes. We might get into more, what was I gonna say? More late game content that we never really get to. Which would be interesting. Zhukov sat at a long table in the Presidium meeting room. Oh, goddamn, not my internet. As he awaited his other two deputies to arrive, he looked through his notes. The contents of them had been normal procedures. Items like what to talk about during the meeting, ideas that they could bring up, and how the meeting would go. He looked down to his watch, waiting for the hand to strike 11. At this time, both Yakovlev and Rozov should be arriving for the meeting. As he twisted the pen in his fingers, both Yakovlev and Rozov entered the room. Both men had an aura of power around them to the aide that had also entered the room. Zhukov's secretary gave him a note saying that all expected members had arrived. He looked around himself, noticing some of the men beginning to talk to each other and discuss the contents of the meeting. He then began to speak. Gentlemen, comrades, it's an honor to be speaking to all of you in good health. Today marks a great day for us in the Republic. I've called you all here to discuss our next chapter in our government. As I'm sure many of you know, the Presidium is reformed. He motions to his left and right, with members sitting on each side lining the table. We are meeting to discuss our government and our next course of action. We are on the verge of being very close to fully restoring the glory of our former government. Until then, however, we must plan for our glorious restoration and then the continuation of the Great Patriotic War. Like I said, though, we must get to work. Zhukov looked at Yakovlev and Rozov before nodding. Gentlemen, shall we begin? More political power. We'll go ahead and intervene in Kazakhstan. And then we'll go ahead, get a nice little army group on that border. Let's check out the people's economy. In the years of warlordism, since the West Russian War, we have prioritized military production to the detriment of the living standards and conditions of both the industrial proletariat and the population as a whole. Although we still need to prepare for the coming war against the Nazis, we no longer need to engage in military Spartanism. The Soviet economy exists to serve the Soviet people. With the Union reunited, it's time for us to increase civilian production, raise up the Soviet worker, and construct a rational economy based on the needs of the people. I'd agree with that. So let's get working on some fun stuff. Got some great industrial potential out here, actually. Just gotta figure out where to fully utilize a lot of it. We still don't have much going on in the territory formerly known as Samara, so let's get that going. Where else? Kazan might be a good bet. Kurgan would be fun. Same with Chelyabinsk. We're gonna have a sweet economy by the end of all this. And then, yeah. There we go. So we're going to be able to core up more of his stuff coming up. I'm going to sneeze. I'm not going to sneeze. I fucking hate when that happens. You think you're about to sneeze and then all of a sudden nothing comes out. Poet is dead, a slave to honor. There we go, the Siberian Soviet Socialist Republic. Quaint little thing indeed. We can be getting in more unification talks. We can do let's incentivize for little factions. We might be done pretty soon, actually. Let's go ahead and check out the vastness of Russia. Even with the loss of its vast western territories, Russia remains one of the largest nations on the planet. As a result, its overflowing resources waiting to be exploited and harnessed for the needs of the Soviet people. With almost all the free Russian territory now united under the leadership of Grand Marshal Zhukov, it's time for us to exploit the economic opportunities that Russia processes, utilizing its great potential to improve our industry and secure our self-efficiency. Sufficiency, not efficiency. We're already pretty efficient, but we gotta be sufficient. And, I guess resource extraction would be pretty nice. The Bothists have one here. The Bothists are actually doing pretty damn well overall. A little interesting. It's time for People's Marshal. Grand Marshal Zhukov is a man of the people, born the son of poor Russian peasants, who has risen from the masses to lead a Red Army and unite our shattered motherland. From the Civil War to the Great Patriotic War to the War of Reunification, Zhukov has fought and bled, and struggled for the Soviet people. A soldier forged in the fires of 1,000 clashes, Zhukov is an enduring symbol of victory on the battlefield. He is the one who leads our people through the hardest times. He is the one who shall break the Nazis and restore the motherland. Hail to the Grand Marshal, the savior of Russia. That works for me. How long do we have for an event in Kazakhstan? About 33 days. Got a couple green troops because we swapped their templates. I guess we'll discreetly support them. Let's, mutual training exercises. Those ought to be good. Zhukov stood above the crowd, looking down. He was amazed at the amount of people that had shown up for simple patriotic speech that he was only planning to inspire a small population of the people of the Republic. However, as he saw very clearly, more people than he expected had shown up. Zhukov was pacing the room in his mind as he waved to the crowd, and then spoke to the thousands of people gathered there to listen to their leader. Today, we stand on guard. Our enemies tremble in their steps, as they have seen our rise to power. We've successfully united the West. Now, however, we must look towards the East. Our power is increasing. We will unify Russia for our children. Most importantly, however, will be our ongoing fight against the dogs in Moscow. Our home has been taken away from us for too long. We will return. After Zhukov finished, the crowd erupted in cheers. Soviet flags had been waved back and forth. He smiled and waved one last time before heading back inside. As he walked back into the Presidium building, he hoped that the Republic would truly live up to the standards he had talked about in his speech. However, as he thought, it would take lots of time to see if his aspirations had become true. Onwards to Moscow. Next, let's get some renewed Soviet patriotism. During the long years of warlordism, many of our people felt a sense of Soviet patriotism, either feeling abandoned by our Red Army or lost a sense of Soviet patriotism, either feeling abandoned by our Red Army for leaving them to the warlords, falsely believing that our Soviet motherland was dead once and for all, or being swayed by the crass fascist nationalism of czars and Nazis. It's time for us to once again instill in the people a love for our great Soviet Union. We shall renew our lost patriotism and remind the people of what they had forgotten. Our Union is mighty and will soon march to crush the Nazi oppressors. Accept the deal, propose a counteroffer. Probably Omsk next. Lenin's mausoleum. Getting that nice extra bit of pee-pee. Go ahead and break the earth next, so let's do that. The life of the farmer in our Russian motherland is hard and unforgiving. The cold and fertile soil leaves little even to the most tenacious of planters. Before the Great Patriotic War, we had access to the breadbasket of Ukraine. And since it's lost, our people have often faced deprivation and hunger. We are forced to make do with what we have. If we are to once again fully feed our people and our armies, we must break the earth, invest in new agricultural tools and practices, and find ways to improve the fertility of our soil. There we go, incorporating the West. That's just decreasing corn time. Get working on the good stuff. Get your industry up. There we go. Looks like they have the same idea. Probably not a bad idea, even, but they agreed to join exercises. So we already signed the something about the access to foreign goods. Next we'll go ahead and ready the nation. The time approaches with the final confrontation with the Nazis, the last great struggle for liberation, the sacred war for the heart and soul of Russia, and we must be ready ready of a nation to face it. Last Soviet territory outside our control must be taken by our Red Army, which will march all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Then they will have to march west and face the greatest enemy head-on. Soviet people stand united and do their duty to the motherland. In the great cause of socialism, we cannot falter. Come, comrades, Moscow and Leningrad await. Let's crush these guys. Yeah. Let's be friends. Take our Jew. And then next, take that over there. You guys be aggressive. We've readied the nation. Now let us delegate the powers out. Despite the democratization of our political system, the Soviet government is still overwhelmingly dominated by military men. This made sense in the Red Army need to maintain strict military discipline and campaign against warlords, but for now, our needs are different. It's time for soldiers and generals to focus on purely military matters and leave administration of a state to civilians. Power must be delegated to civilians and out of the hands of military, while military and civic institutions must be fully disentangled. Yeah, we'll match it. We already are matching it, even. Let's go ahead and integrate Surguts. There we go, we got him. Front line, we'll go ahead and do that. We don't need to do that, but we'll do just in case. And then Almaty is a good one to start coring up. Partners have accepted. Now let's hold the preliminary conference. Let's promote dialogue between our men. Why not? Next, let's go ahead and reform the Communist Party. The Front was always a strictly military organization and had little place for party organization within its ranks. Yet now the reunification of Russia, the people clamor for political education and guidance. It's time for us to reforge the party of Lenin. Embodying the revolutionary spirit of the October Revolution, the All-Union Communist Party will be the vanguard of the working class, charting the political course of a union and organizing the masses for the struggle against the sacred enemies of Soviet Union. There we go. I think we... New artillery? Yeah, new artillery. Zhukov looked down at the letter that he'd been sent and slammed it down his desk. Water transportation? For a man of his talents? He was furious. Zhukov could not believe his eyes as he read what was happening to him. After considerable advice, from who? Thought Yakovlev. What advice was given to the Presidium on him? Who could be such a menace that they changed committee assignments? Was it the army? Could have been Zhukov himself. Whatever the answer was, he was furious that it occurred. Zhukov read the letter one more time before balling it up and throwing it into the trash. Someone else's fucking job, thought Yakovlev, as he tried to get his mind off it. Across the capital of the Republic, Yakovlev received a similar letter. Instead of water transportation, it was to the Committee of Coal Transportation. Unlike Zhukov, however, he was more confused than angered. No conspiracies against him. Did he do something wrong? Did he accidentally anger the wrong person? Whatever it was, it distressed him a bit. Yakovlev had never done anything wrong. All of his work he did was to benefit the Republic in any way possible. The letter, however, just made him feel disappointed himself. Whatever could he have possibly done that made the Presidium mad? Whatever it was, he couldn't let his mind wander too much on it. He frowned, feeling upset to himself. He had gotten so far, so close to being an actual politician for something important and not a rump state located in Russia. Yakovlev went to bed, thinking of something better, hoping the next day would bring better news. Don't you just love change? A little strange how that happened, but okay. It's all coming along quite nicely. We'll finish up the main focuses. Who really cares about the nuke stuff? And then we'll probably hit a button and hit a button here. Hit a button somewhere up here, and then damn, we're done. For now, let's look towards war. The sacred and final war to liberate our Soviet motherland approaches. Everyone knows it. Nobody can escape from the truth of what it is to come. The last time we faced the Germans, we faltered and lost all but our lives. But this time we will not falter. We will be ready. Every one of our soldiers armed, prepared, and willing to sacrifice their lives in the struggle for liberation. We will make the Nazi dogs pay for our every humiliation, every martyr, every inch of our soil that they have watered with blood of the people. We will drive out the fascist dogs once and for all, no matter the cost. Such is our destiny. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Next up, this one will be a good one. Let's do that. Next results, shaking hands. Let's finish it up, boys. Public support increases. Next, let's look towards history. We stand in the tradition of Red October, the greatest social revolution in the history of humanity, which liberated millions from oppression and forged our great Soviet state. Yet we must also face the reality and lofty ideals of Marx and Lenin nearly died in the fires of the Great Patriotic War, for revolution unable to resist the diabolical Nazi war machine. We must learn from our pet triumphs and our defeats and forge a new path. From the ashes of past defeats, a new Soviet Union will rise, wreathed in the ideals of October, but ready to face our enemies, sword in hand. Let's see all his cores on all this. You guys still fascist? Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. Sweden is guaranteed. Is guaranteed by the German Reich. That's interesting. To history. We'll go ahead and look at the American example. Before the Great Patriotic War, the American and Soviet people stood at odds, with many Americans afraid of our socialist system of government. Yet during the Great Patriotic War and ever since, our interests have been aligned. Today, the Americans have much to show from their impressive military industry. We should seek to emulate their example, and should not let our political differences define us. After all, our Soviet state was born in the fires of the Great Revolution, but so was that of the Americans. Perhaps we are different after all. Grand Marshal Grigory Zhukov, that's not how you spell that, stood in his private study with a glass of vodka in his hand. In front of him was a large window that overviewed Archangelisk and the surrounding region. As he looked out, he noticed how much of a city had grown since the days of the Great Patriotic War and the inevitable loss of the Germans. The Soviet Union had broken down the days following, with anarchy spreading across the country. Warlords soon took the place of the government, many of them not harboring the ideas of a union. However, in those chaotic days, Zhukov tried to stay positive. He and his armies had survived and fled to safety in those northern regions, hoping to one day reform and march into Moscow to free it from the dark hand of the Reich. Zhukov looked through the many books he had, ones on warfare and literature, both classic and contemporary. The study was decorated not as lavishly as some of the citizens of the Republic would have thought. However, it did have some of Zhukov's favorite hobbies. A fish tank was located in the room. Inside was a few of Vidiscus fish. Zhukov flipped the cover of the last book he had. He walked back over to his desk where he thought about the last conflict he fought against the Germans. Less than 20 years ago, after they had been sent trudging back from Stalingrad and Moscow, the reformed Red Army had begun an attack on Moscow, hoping to free the people who lived under the Iron Fist. They made good progress at first. Zhukov had astonishingly come close to liberating the Reich Commissariat. However, the tide soon turned, and they had been pushed back. Since that day when they had been pushed back, Zhukov still believed that they would finally win. And our time has come. See, Moscow is not too far away, actually. All things considered. It's about half of this journey. Sure. We can integrate Pavlodar next. So let's do it. Jonathan Avery looked out his window of a dacha he lived in for the past decade and a half or so. He rubbed his eyes, hoping he wouldn't fall asleep. The CIA officer had been stuck in Russia after the war came to a screeching halt. While he'd been had some contact with Langley sometimes, the moments had been rare. Jonathan always had something to do, however, whether it was training Russian soldiers or tending to a small garden outside. When the car pulled up to his house, he was surprised. Why would the government want to meet with him again? Out stepped members of the Republic Intelligence Services. As he knocked on his door, Jonathan opened it. They said they wanted to talk. Jonathan's stomach dropped as he came in. While his Russian wasn't perfect, it was much better than some of the other agents had been sent with. As the two men explained to Jonathan the current state of affairs in the Republic, his eyes grew when they heard that the United States had recognized him. As they continued, they said to him that he would be brought to Arkhangelsk, where he would be loaded on a plane and flown home to the States. He smiled, and tears began to well up in his eyes. He'd finally be going home. The two intelligence officers shook his hands and told him to pack his bags, as they had come to pick him up. Jonathan rushed around the house, pulling everything he had in Russia into the duffel bag he had brought with him so long ago. As they had driven to the airport, he looked out the window. He began to see many exports of American culture enter the Republic, from people carrying little bottles of Coca-Cola to even a few Fords on the road. As he got to the airport, he shook the hands of the intelligence officers once again. Jonathan boarded the plane, not before turning around and taking one good look at Russia before leaving for good. So long, and thanks for all the help. Aw. And now it's time for Krasnaya Armia Veselny. The Germans invaded our motherland, but we fought on. They massacred our people, but we resisted. They bombed our remaining cities to oblivion, but that we survived. After everything they have done to us, we are still here, the Red Army, the last soldiers of a socialist cause, in a world overrun by fascist tyranny. Every blow they have landed against us only makes us stronger. And now we stand before the world, having reunited our fractured nation, unbowed and triumphant. Let the world hear us. We are the Red Army, the last hope of humanity. We will plant the red flag on Moscow, then Leningrad, then Germania itself. We will bring the wretched Nazi order to the ground and show them once and for all. The Red Army is the strongest. Oh, fuck. They took Aldo Moro. Motherfuckers. Can't have shit in Italy. And after so long, so begins 100 years of rebirth. Let's go ahead, do that and that. You know, the rest of these guys. Get the artillery going. We got really one more focus. Tomsk. Probably Novosibirsk after the fact. Well, I got some naval dockyards over in Magadan. Yeah. So, how do you like this one, Grand Marshal? the artist asked Zhukov, showing him a mock-up that he had drawn. Shut up, Snapchat. I'm going to move that away a little bit. In order to come down the lines of a government asking for a request for new posters that are patriotic and evoke a sense of willingness. Alec was one of the artists who had answered this call to arms. In the weeks coming to the showings, he created nearly 20 different posters, all with different themes. They ranged from simple images of a united Russia imposed with a flag of a republic draped over it, to a much more complex art of a soldier blocking a large German soldier from a family. I quite like the colors on the art, however, I feel like it is too brash, if I'm being honest with you, boy. Can I see the next one? The poster was the one with a flag of Reich Commissariat at Moscow being melted, and then a flag of the Republic being formed from the ashes of it. While Alec liked it when he had been drawing it, he couldn't disagree with the marshal on this. The colors looked very dark and brooding compared to some of the other posters he had seen. Alec then pulled out another poster. I like this one. Do you mind explaining it to me? This poster, unlike the others, seemed to invoke a sense of pride. Zhukov's interest definitely increased. The poster was a vivid one, with a man standing on a hill. Behind him was a ship in the water with its guns raised, tanks on land following him, and planes flying above him. The colors had been ones of reds and blues. The tent on the bottom read, "Onwards, to the German doorstep." Zhukov smiled. We have a winner. Beautiful. We can start our Atomic Age shit, and then Novosibirsk, Kemerovo, and I think there's nothing else to do other than click the button. So, here we go. The bloody wars of Russian unification have ended, and its grizzled veterans who first defended the nation from Nazi Germany that are the victors. The West Russian Revolutionary Front, formed by Red Army remnants, has officially declared the unification of Russia under their banner. Over the years, the front has continued to wage war not only on Nazi Germany, but also the warlords who have dominated Russia after Soviet collapse. The front's leader, Grand Marshal Georgy Zhukov, is not only praised as a champion of strategic genius, he's also hailed as a champion of common people, and has promised to continue support for the underprivileged of the Soviet Union. The response of Germany has not yet been... The government of Germany has not yet made a response to Russian reunification, but reports are filtering in that they are mobilizing their troops on their border. Hail Grand Marshal Zhukov. We will do all we can to ensure peace, but if war is imposed upon us, we will be together, shoulder to shoulder, as in the last war, to strive for the happiness of mankind. Georgy Zhukov. Manpower, Jesus. A red dawn. And so, there we go, boys. Look at that. Well, a little bit more time passed just because I know we're coming up. Oh, there we go. See, just like this. Zhukov stood upward, surrounded by his three most important confidants, the original three that stood by him and his clique, all the way back in the early years of his Zhukov administration. Akromiev, Razov, Yakovlev all stood side by side with each other inside of Zhukov's office, holding cups filled with the best alcohol the Union had at its disposal. The occasion demanded something better than cheap distilled crap. Gentlemen, you all know why I brought you here. To celebrate? Interjected Yakovlev, a bright smile on his face. Correct! Gentlemen, we've done what many consider impossible. We had a mission even Lenin would consider too difficult, and we accomplished it. If I was not an atheist, I might say it was the will of God. The men laughed at that, especially Akromiev. We must celebrate our victories tonight, gentlemen. With our enemies defeated, we have begun a long journey towards a better Russia. Drink, friends, for tomorrow we will have a difficult journey towards rebuilding Russia from the ashes of almost 30 years of war. But first, a toast. Zhukov lifted his drink upwards. To Russia. To Russia. And now it is again time for Dawn to end. Look at that. Very few expected Russia to be reunited, and fewer still believed that it would be reunited under another union of Soviets. And yet, despite all the odds, Georgy Konstantinovich Zhukov, the son of a Russian peasant cobbler, general of the West Russian Revolutionary Front, and heir apparent to Clement Voroshilov's clique, has done just that. Zhukov rose through the ranks of the Soviet military, his career derailed by the invasion of Russia by the Reich. Joining the Western Revolutionary Front, a rump communist state, he was instrumental in the West Russian War in the 50s, and while the war ended in loss for the front, it broke Germany's hegemony. Falling out of favor, he was sent to the military district in Uka. But the German Civil War, his opportunities and fortunes alike expanded. Shut the fuck up, timer. Winning the power struggle against his opponent, Tukhachevsky, he quickly took advantage of his stop-and-terror bombings to reunite West Russia and quickly extended this rule over the rest of Russia. His reforms made the system more stable and prosperous, with the economy recovering from the destruction of a warlord period. Rumors about Zhukov abound Zhukov, however. His health has deteriorated, with many of his underlings, within the early days of the clique, being labeled as possible successors. And then there's the matter of the border, which in recent months has seen massive amounts of build and material and soldiers near the pact. Zhukov has refused to comment on this rumor. Well, let's let time pass a little bit more as we play this game out. I had fun with this. I don't think I actually fully finished a front game, so this was a fun little adventure. I enjoyed it. Let's integrate Magadan next, because I know that we have a bunch of shipyards there. I have a lot over here with no manpower. I don't think that's supposed to be happening. I don't think the patch is out quite yet, but I'm sure I'll take my computer. I'll end the game soon. And I'm sure I'm pretty sure some of these places are supposed to still have manpower. The ones that don't. Jesus Christ, what do they do to y'all, Don? What the fuck? Anyway. Yeah, I had fun with this. I'm not quite sure what the next path's going to be. I think I said I was going to play a different game on the YouTube channel. It might be pre-recorded already, just because, well, I'm going to be going on vacation very soon. Let's see. I might be on vacation right now, actually. More than likely I am, actually. So I'll be up in Idaho for a while. I might have something pre-recorded coming up. If not, my bad. Apologies for that. But, I finish up the recording of this. I'll take a break. I want to play some more Mass Effect, and then... Damn, the United Arab Republic. Nice. You don't see that too often. So, yeah. I'm not quite sure what the next path is going to be for TNO. But I know if a new update dropping, maybe it's already out. I don't know. There ought to be some fun to be had. We'll figure it out in time. Until then, my friends, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you want to see more of this content in the future, hit the sub button for uploads every weekday as well as occasionally Saturdays. Also, hit the notification bell if you want to really stay up to date with all of this. If you have any comments, feedback, concern, check it out in the check out the comment section down below. I read all the comments. Can't appreciate any of the feedback you might have for me. If you want to chat, play games, anything of the sort, check out my Discord. If you want to see me back some every month, check out my Patreon. If you want to see me do stuff live, I have Twitch. And all of these are down in the description box below, my friends. That's it for now, ladies and gentlemen. My name has been Dogbo333. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Long live the Red Army, and goodbye.